This class, I will be discussing what are the various stages you should consider before starting your civil engineering project related to dam and reservoir. So what are the things you should consider? Okay, what are the investigations you should do before starting the dam construction? First one, if you are getting any idea about the site, if you are having the location or the entire area, suppose you have to make a dam on, suppose in Howrah, so you have to study the entire relevant areas, how you will proceed. First one would be, you will be looking for the previously noted or previously published information, among which first one you will be looking for the toposes. So what are the how your study areas and where to get it? So first you will be looking at the toposes. Later you will be looking after the structural geological maps, if available. If any structural geological map from GSI or in case of India are available, then that maps can help you, or any other geological map or any other geological maps published in any paper or any book that you have to follow, or any geophysical studies done in that area, okay, to get the to delineate the subsurface layers that you have to follow. So you will be integrating all these information like the normal toposes, the map. You may use the GIS technique. GIS is a geographical information system. So there are several GIS softwares are available like ArcGIS and all. So using ArcGIS you can integrate all this information and can make a integrated map. Okay, so when I'll be looking a area or particular position, then I'll be looking the integrated. I want the integrated information like what are the structural features present, what is the water table condition. So detailed geological mapping. Then you'll be going for the geological mapping. It's not geological if geological maps are not available. If available, then also go for the geological mapping. अपने हिसाब से एक map कर लो. Okay. Then that geological mapping and entire information will be integrated in GIS, and along with you will be using the aerial images, like the satellite images will be there. So you will be using the satellite images to get the actual configuration. Suppose there is a river following like this, river meandering is there. So this could be identified or this could be mapped clearly by the satellite images. Okay, nowadays. And there are other geomorphological features which can delineated by the satellite images. Okay, if there are any water body present in your study area, what is the area and how it's oriented, how it's distributed, that you can understand. After that, you will be doing some geophysical investigation. If already people has done and published some paper, then you can follow that paper. Otherwise, you will be doing some shallow seismic and electrical resistivity survey. Okay. That is your geophysical survey. So you will be doing some geophysical survey to understand the overburden or other layers location, to delineate the shallow subsurface or shallow bedrock. So in your dam or in the geological selection criteria, the geological parameters you would look after when you are making a dam or when you are constructing a dam in a certain place. In that place, you will be looking after the overburden. You will be looking after at what depth your bedrock is at. Okay, so that can be identified by the geophysical survey. So this will be your stage 1. If these things are not available, or if these things are available and you are seeing some anomalies, some problematic areas, at this point there is some problematic area if you encounter, then you will be doing some drilling there. कि क्या है इसके अंदर? If you are not getting that idea, getting the subsurface information from the geophysical survey, then you will be doing some drilling, normal geological drilling or geophysical drilling or geophysical oil log is there. So by drilling you can identify the formations. So how many layers are there, what are the formations are there, at what depth the bedrock actually is. So it's an invasive technique. Okay, so by doing this invasive technique you can identify or you can identify the variation of the formations. There are other field related tests, engineering geological tests like the plate bearing load test and water pressure test that you will be doing. And another most important thing you should consider along with this, if any water table map is available in that area. So if there is a water contour map, okay, available in that area, then it's okay. If it's not available, then you have to do the survey, some hydrogeological survey or some geophysical survey, or maybe you may use GPR to understand, to map the water table. So you'll have a contouring कि इस एरिया में ये 10 मीटर डेप्थ में, इस एरिया में सपोज इस 50 मीटर डेप्थ, इस एरिया में सपोज ये 100 मीटर डेप्थ में है. ओके, so by doing the contouring of the water table, because water table is an important factor in any civil construction, that I will discuss in your next chapter, that's related to the groundwater related engineering problem. There I will discuss how groundwater basically affects the civil engineering constructions. Another study you will be doing, that's the seepage study. So spring and sources of seepage water, what is the channel orientation, what are the lineaments, where are the lineaments are oriented, and I mean how the lineaments are oriented, how the riverines are oriented, how the seepage waters are passing through a faulted area or a microfracture area. So that study you should be doing. That will be your stage 1. Now for stage 2, you will be doing some lab investigation. Like you will be taking the rock sample and you will be testing it, okay, all of that rock sample. Suppose you are doing it, in this case you are making a dam, suppose you are doing a tunnel, okay. So in that tunnel you will be taking a rock sample from here, that is which will represent the entire rock structure, and there you will be doing the UCS or ETS study. UCS means initial compressive strength. इसका मतलब क्या है? You will be using I haven't teach you this strength classification, okay, it's not in your syllabus, but let me tell you briefly. क्या करते हैं, ये रॉक सैंपल को लेके आया एंड इसको 2 पॉइंट ऐसे न्यूक्लियर पॉइंट पे हम लोग रख दिया. देन वी आर इंक्रीजिंग प्रेशर एंड वी आर मेजरिंग द प्रेशर हियर, वी आर मेजरिंग द प्रेशर इन MPa. So suppose this rock has a fracture or it developed fracture at 10 MPa. So its strength would be is UCS, uniaxial compressive strength, means only one axis you are employing here to press or to using this compressive pressure. So the fracture developed at 10 MPa because you have started from 1 MPa. पहले 1 MPa दिया कुछ नहीं हुआ, 2 MPa दिया उसको रजिस्ट कर लिया, 3 MPa दिया कुछ फ्रैक्चर नहीं हुआ, 10 MPa में जब पहुँचे तो फ्रैक्चर हुआ, and that will be its strength is called the UCS, uniaxial compressive strength. Similarly we determine the shear strength and modulus of elasticity, ये सब हम लोग निकालते हैं. Permeability lab test से निकालते हैं. Then another empirical parameter is there, that is called the rock quality designation. This is very important and it basically gives you the idea of the rock's quality, as its name suggesting, like how the rock is it a soft rock, is it a hard rock, is it a good one for the diggability when you are making a tunnel and all. So it's a empirical parameters generated. There is a formula, certain formula related to this. So that chapter I didn't include in your syllabus because actually didn't teach you that chapter because it was not included in your syllabus. So एक होता है, एक empirical parameter होता है जिसको देख के तुम बोल सकते हो कि इसका RQT ऐसा है तो it's a good rock for tunneling or it's a good rock for dam construction, over which you can make a dam construction. Okay, so these things this study will be doing and they will be integrating all the data. So like the thickness of overburden, depth of the water table, areas of potential seepage, rock strength, tweak zone identification. So by seeing the whole entire map of Howrah, you can identify 2 or 3 locations. Okay, these 3 locations are the best locations, among which you have to select, you'll be putting some criteria and you'll be select one location which would be convenient in all the terms. Okay, so suppose this location number 2 is convenient for you to make a dam construction. So engineering geologist will make a report and that report will be submitted to the civil engineering people and they will construct according his suggestion. क्या ऐसा ऐसा situation है, ऐसा ऐसा situation है. So to understand this report you should know, you should understand the basics of the geology. Okay, that's why this course has been included in your syllabus. Now let's discuss few case studies related to the dam failures and let's discuss some probable causes of dam failure. First one is the inadequate design of the spillways. You know the spillways. What are the spillways? So if I construct a, if I draw a dam, okay. So this is a kind of an opening which could be controlled by you. Okay, it's a controlled floodgate you can say. Okay. So if your water table, so this side is the reservoir, if your water table reaches this portion or above this portion, so what will happen? The surplus of the water will passes through these spillways. Now what happened? Your spillways are not adequately designed for the flood period. Flood में क्या होता है, बहुत सारा पानी आ गया and the water is passing, the rate of water passing through these spillways, because it's a small opening, it's a opening, okay. You have designed thinking of that this much, suppose 15, suppose some volume V, okay, V, or suppose V0 is the volume you are considering, or you are assuming. You didn't consider the climate, you didn't consider the monsoon period, you didn't consider the rain data, and you are considering that V0 amount of water will be the surplus during the monsoon period. But in practical, when monsoon comes, the flood happen and the V1 water is the surplus water. Surplus means the जो extra water होता है. Then what happen? And V1 is greater than V0. So it can only pass V0, not the V1. Okay. So what will happen here? Some portion of the water will exert force on this dam wall. So this excess water will exert force in the dam wall, and there is a possibility of having overtopping like this, okay, or there will be an extra force on this dam wall. And considering V0, you have constructed your dam, because you have to consider your budget also, okay. So V0 के सोच के तुमने इतना क्यूसेक पानी आएगा और इतना क्यूसेक पानी को ये विथस्टैंड कर लेगा, लेकिन उससे ज़्यादा आ गया, then what will happen? Dam will collapse. So that's the one reason. Second reason is the overtopping. If your spillway or if your other water releasing or floodgate techniques are not adequate enough to release the water in the downstream side, so what will happen? This water will go up and it will overtop the dam structure. So it's a huge cost to create a dam failures, because 34% of the US dam failures are due to this overtopping. So overtopping of a dam is often precursor of the dam failure. Okay, so due to the inadequate spillway design or some debris blockage in the spillways or the settlement of the dam top is basically cause overtopping, and that overtopping like this type of dam failures generally happen due to the overtopping, और ये क्रेस्ट से ये टूट जाता है. Okay, that's the one reason. Another reason is the piping. So about 20% of the US dam failures are caused by piping. Piping means there is a small opening happened within the dam. Okay, so over the years what happened, there might be a small opening, and that small opening goes from this side, from upstream side to the downstream side. And what will happen here? So seepage often occurs around like this. Seepage will happening through this small opening, and over the years the piping width will be increased. Along with this, it basically giving you the uplift pressure. More uplift pressure means the stability of the dam will be reduced. Okay, like I said. So seepage often occurs around the hydraulic structures such as pipes and spillways, through the animal burrows, around the root of the woody vegetation. There are several reasons of this piping, through the cracks in the dam, and due to this piping, okay, internal erosion caused by seepage is basically it reduces the stability of the dam, it reduces the integrity of the dam, and dam failures happen. These are some common simple explanation how dam failures generally happen. The most important one, the fourth one, is the earthquake. Earthquake basically affects the dam types. So there is a chapter in your syllabus that is called seismology. You might know this, and in that chapter you will be reading some seismic zones. Okay, so India has been classified into 5 seismic zones. So what are those seismic zones? एक seismic zone एक level का earthquake probability को denote करता है. It's denoting the probability of earthquake or the happenings of the earthquake. Like in the Himalayan region is the risk zone, because frequent small to moderate range or sometimes large range earthquake you can see. So, and why earthquake? We have to consider we have to make the dam earthquake proof, because earthquake effects on the dams, it collapses the dam structure. Okay, so its law is create fracture within the dam. So it's basically lost the stability due to the loss of strength of the embankment. Some liquefaction may happen underneath the dam. So slumping may happen, settlement may happen, or cracking and planar and rotational slope failure may happen. Due to these, earthquake is one of the primary cause for the dam failure. Okay. So see here that overtopping is 44% contributing in the dam failure. CPS is contributing 17%. CPS means the piping and all. Earthquake is contributing 27% of the dam failure in US. So it's a data from 1915 to 2016. Okay. Next, so let's discuss some case studies. First case study is from Italy. It's of Iron Dam. It was a arch dam, and this type of dam failure, basically the dam failure happened in October 1963. So height was 869 feet. It's a arch type dam. You can see it's a 60 miles from the north of the Venice. But the important factor here that it killed, this incident killed around 2,500 people. So 2,500 people were killed in Italy. इंडिया में होगा तो ये मान लो कि 1 लाख के आसपास लोग मर गया होगा. If this type of things happened in India, because population density इतना ज़्यादा रहता है, so there could be a chance that it can go up to 1 lakh. इसमें इटली में क्या ना population density बहुत कम है. In that time it was okay. उनमें 2,500 लोग मर गए, तो 1 लाख लोग तो इंडिया में तो मर ही जाते. So as a civil engineering student or as a civil engineer, your job is not only to make a dam or anything. उस डैम को सक्सेसफुली, उस रिजर्वर को सक्सेसफुली चलाना, उसको मॉनिटर करना, उसको कंट्रोल करना भी तुम्हारा कंडीशन है. एंड द मिस्टेक्स दे हैव डन दैट दे डिडंट कंसीडर द जियोलॉजी ऑफ द सराउंडिंग एरिया. So what happened? Monsoon season, flood season happened, and the water was overtopping by 200 feet. But the dam construction they made, it was good enough to not, it can withstand that overtopping. Okay, so the failure is not caused by the overtopping. The failure is not caused by the overtopping, but it caused by the gigantic landslide. So what happened? A large chunk of surrounding rocks falls due to the heavy monsoon season. In that season, they didn't consider the geology of the surrounding area. They didn't take any remedial measures. Okay, so a large chunk of rock, it falls into the river or in the upstream side of the river, and it created a huge tsunami kind of structure. क्या होगा? एक बड़ा सा पत्थर आके गिर गया रिजर्वर में, and it creates a certain velocity in the water. It creates certain wave in the water, which basically overtops the dam by 200 feet. Okay, and that pressure को, that sudden pressure को, it cannot withstand. So they didn't consider the existing inactive landslide. They didn't do the slope stability analysis कि क्या हो सकता है यहाँ पे. What is the safety factor of the surrounding? What is the safety factor of this overlying rocks? They didn't consider it. Okay. Next, they didn't control the reservoir levels. They didn't. The design was not adequate enough to release the surplus water. एक तो ओवरटॉपिंग के वजह से फोर्स जितना था वो तो था, उसके ऊपर आके वो पत्थर गिर गया, and due to this gigantic landslide, it creates a tsunami-like events, tsunami-like waves. So due to this landslide, its size and speed, okay, which is in general very rare, because they didn't consider the integrity or intactness of the surrounding rock, and that rock actually initiated the dam failure. ओवरटॉपिंग हो रहा था, फिर भी ये कंट्रोल कर रहा था, लेकिन it couldn't control when a gigantic landslide displaced the reservoir. So that's the main reason in the Vahan dam failure. And 2,500 लोग ऐसे मर गए. So what are the lessons you should learn from this dam failure is that you have to understand the dam site geology. Okay. इंजीनियरिंग जियोलॉजिस्ट के ऊपर भरोसा ना करके जो रिपोर्ट वो सबमिट कर रहे हैं तुमको भी समझना है, इसलिए ये वाला कोर्स तुम्हारे सिलेबस में है. एंड द it is unwise to rely on the reservoir level to control landslide movement. So you cannot rely on some reservoir level, some water level to control the landslide movement. ये तो अपने हिसाब से होगा. Otherwise, arch dams are when the I'm making a arch dam like the Hoover Dam. You remember, it's a tourist place in USA nowadays. So arch dams can be very stable. Okay. And another thing they did that time, it is in 1960s, okay. So in that time, they didn't consider the independent investigation, they didn't consider the timely independent investigation, and the Italian newspaper, they state that it's a price of the modernization. Modernization होना है, मतलब हम लोगों को डैम फैम बनाना है, लेकिन बाकी से फैक्टर भी, सराउंडिंग फैक्टर्स भी देखना है. Another dam failure example is from, I think it's from US. Okay, and this zone it was a arch type dam, okay, and the failure happened 1976. The lives lost here is 11. इसी तरह से मालूम चल गया था तो लोगों को मूव कर दिया वहाँ से. But billions dollar properties were damaged due to this incident. Only 11 lives were lost. इंडिया में होता तो वो 11 को 11,000 मान सकते थे. Okay, so what happened here? The one major problem happened in this failure is piping. So piping happened, some small opening inside the dam is happened, and the flow through the pipes or circuited across the key trench, and due to this the stability of the dam decreases, and this thing happened. Contributing factor has large open joints and fissures. Okay, जोन 1 जो जोन था वो लोग डिस्क्राइब किए थे. ओके, दैट वाज मटेरियल वाज हाईली प्रोन टू इरोशन एंड पाइपिंग. सो द सराउंडिंग जियोलॉजी दे डिडंट कंसीडर, एंड ये वाला गलती हो गया. सो द सराउंडिंग मटेरियल्स वर हाईली प्रोन टू इरोशन एंड पाइपिंग. Grout curtain what they have provided, that was not adequate enough, that was inconsistent. So they did take some रेमिडियल मेजर्स, बट पैसे बचाने के चक्कर में इसने अच्छे से ग्राउटिंग भी नहीं किया. सो दैट्स द मेन रीजन फॉर फेलियर ऑफ द डैम. ओके, सो व्हाट आर द लेसन्स यू शुड लर्न? If you are seeing some open fracture and voids, you have to consider, you have to understand, you have to, before starting the project, you have to mitigate this kind of problems. कि ये होगा तो हम लोगों को ये पहले करके रखना है, बाद में कुछ नहीं कर सकते, मतलब बहुत कुछ नहीं कर सकते. Defense design, एक defensive design for the all parts of the dam was also essential. Okay, key trenches in the abutment, you know, abutment and hill can be make the situation worse. So these things you learn from a failure. Okay, there are other examples also like the South Fork Dam. Here around 2,200 people were dead in USA, but it was in 1840s. Okay, then St. Francis Dam. So here it was a concrete gravity dam, and it was constructed in 1924 to 1926, and the lives lost was 450 plus. Around 500 people were dead from this incident. So failure तो होता है डैम का, but you should have take some measures, some remedial measures beforehand. So ये पाइपिंग हो रहा है, क्यों पाइपिंग हो रहा है, that you have to consider. Okay, so what are the forces acting generally acts on the dam? So to design a dam, various forces are acting on dam to ensure the safety of the dam. So what are the forces? And these forces you have to consider, these forces you have to tackle. So weight of the dam is there, water pressure is there, uplift is there, wave pressure is there, earthquake forces, that one is the most important one. You might have read or you will be reading the earthquake resistant building designs and earthquake resistant foundation design or earthquake resistant dam design, that you will be reading in your civil engineering course. There you will be seeing that earthquake, you have to consider that earthquake very seriously. So basically India has classified, as I was saying, that into 5 zones. actually is into the four. Okay, four zones they have classified. Zone 5, zone number 5 is the most earthquake prone zone. मतलब यहाँ पे earthquake होता ही रहता है, like the northeastern side, like the northern side in the Himalayan region. So if you are making a dam there, then you have to make a earthquake resistant building in that place, or your construction will be earthquake proof. Your construction should be earthquake proof. The foundation and all designs should be changed. थोड़ा सा पैसा ज़्यादा खर्च होगा लेकिन वो बनाना नहीं है. लेकिन if you are making a dam in our side, like in Bankura side, in West Bengal, Bankura Purulia side, then you don't have to think about that because it's coming under zone 2. बहुत ही स्टेबल जोन में है तो earthquake वो होता नहीं है. Okay. Then the body force, the water force. So I have already explained it in the PPT here. It's very easy to understand. I'm not going to explain it because we have to complete about the reservoir. So I told you when a reservoir is successful. Dam and reservoirs are you can say synonymous, bhai hai, ठीक है. So your construction would be successful when your dam is stable, that's dam construction, and the reservoir is water tight. So what do you mean by water tight? Because water tight means इसमें लीकेज कम होता है, मतलब मैं ऐसे डिजाइन करूँगा कि लीकेज कम होगा. And the factors contributing the reservoir, और कहाँ पे reservoir बनाना चाहिए कहाँ पे नहीं, and you should keep in mind that also involves the structural features like the dam, that also involves the rock type and all. Okay, so from the geological point of view, a reservoir can be claimed to be successful if it is watertight, if it does not suffer from any serious leakage of water, and if it has a long life due to very slow rate of silting in the reservoir basin. Two things we have to consider. Okay, so कहीं पे अगर मैं रिजर्वर बना रहा हूँ, ओके, ये मेरा डैम स्ट्रक्चर है, सॉरी, this is my dam and this would be our reservoir. So if I'm making, I'm constructing a reservoir, so few things you should consider that over the time sediments will be depositing here. Mostly silt and sandy particles or silt range particles will be depositing here. कहीं पे भी तुम मतलब किसी भी pond या water body में if you have taken a bath in the water body stagnant water में, और किसी water body और इसमें अगर नहाया हो तो मालूम है वो उसके नीचे वाला हिस्से में क्या होता है ना, बॉटम में वो क्ले से भरा हुआ रहता है. अगर पोखरे में और तालाब में नहाया हो तो ये मालूम होगा कि ये नीचे वाला हिस्सा ना क्ले से भरा हुआ होता है बिकॉज the silting, the water is coming from the surroundings, or in this case by the river. Some of the silted particles will be deposited here. Some of the silt-like particle will be deposited at the bottom. Some will be suspended within the water and some will be deposited here over the years, because यहाँ पे हमने रोक लगा दिया. So there is a chance the velocity will be decreased, and for this reason the silting will be here. So there is a term here is called the silting. Silting means ये जो storage है ये silt से भर रहा है. So this called the dead storage. So when I design a reservoir, or when I will be designing a reservoir, like I have to consider, मैंने बोला है कि 15 million, let's say if you are asking your contractor that I need a reservoir which can store up to 15 million liter, suppose, as for example, then you have to consider the silting effect also, 15 million liter up to 40 years. Then you have to consider the siltation rate, and there you will be seeing that, और तुमने देखा कि ये silting जो होगा 40 साल में वो 6 मिलियन लीटर का होगा, सपोज, और कुछ एक वॉल्यूम का होगा. So what you will be doing, this you will be making a day storage plus this 15. So you will be total making 21 volume unit to 21 volume unit of that reservoir, because 6 तो ऐसे ही डेड स्टोरेज में चला जाएगा. Another important factor in the reservoir is that when you will be considering a reservoir, these things are very relatively new findings, and there is a seismicity. It's called the reservoir induced seismicity. So reservoir means huge area storing water, and sometimes what happen, underneath that reservoir there might be some fracture, there might be some openings, okay, there might be some vags, okay, and the water will percolate through this fracture. One तो एक प्रॉब्लम तो लीकेज हो रहा है. सेकेंड प्रॉब्लम होगा कि the water is going through that fracture and it is basically reactivating the inactive faults. If there is a fault lines below, it's basically reactivating the inactive fault, and these things, this type of earthquakes are called the man-made earthquake. One example is 1970, if I am not wrong, 1967, okay, Koyna earthquake. There is a Koyna Nagar dam in Maharashtra. किसी को मालूम है कोयना earthquake? So 1967, people are given several theories. The seismologist has given several theories that in Koyna earthquake in Maharashtra, the earthquake magnitude was 6.6. अभी के लिए इतना समझो कि 6.6 बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. बिल्डिंग कोलैप्स करने के लिए वो अच्छे से बिल्डिंग बना नहीं होगा तो गिर भी सकता है. So the magnitude of that earthquake is 6.6. Few people who had died, around 100 के आसपास लोग मर गए थे और 2500 के ऊपर लोगों को चोट आया था. Okay, so this Koyna earthquake is a man-made earthquake and it's basically happened due to the Koyna dam. There is a Koyna Nagar dam or Koyna dam there, and that Koyna dam was situated, or that reservoir actually situated on a fractured rock type, and through this fracture the water percolated and it's basically reactivated the inactive faults. That's why reservoir induced seismicity happens. So whenever you will be making any or you will be constructing any reservoir, you have to consider this factor also. Another thing, to get a successful reservoir, I told you that the reservoir should be watertight. वो तुमने कर लिया. Another thing, you should consider that reservoir, the volume of the water exerting forces on the dam wall should be or will be within the limit your dam can withstand. So you will be making a structure, you will be making a reservoir of that volume of that area where it can withstand the structure. Another thing you have to encounter, that is sometimes your dams are mostly used for the storage, mostly used for the agricultural purposes. क्योंकि समर में पानी नहीं रहता है, वो उस पानी को स्टोर करके वो तुम सराउंडिंग एरिया में तुम भेज रहे हो. The problem you will encounter is the evaporation. Evaporation will happen. ये तो होगा ही, तुम रोक नहीं सकते. But what you can do, that evaporation is basically depends on the surface area. Surface area of the water. What you can do, you can reduce the surface area. Then if you reduce the surface area, then what will happen? The capacity of the reservoir will be decreased. Then what people suggest that you make a reservoir deeper, but the surface area is smaller. So in this case, the surface area will be smaller. In case of this wider one, okay. So you are making this is a deeper reservoir. Deep बहुत ज़्यादा रहेगा, and the surface area will be reduced. So the evaporation will be less. अगर ज़्यादा surface area करती है तो water, a huge amount of water will be evaporated. Okay, ये सब common concept है. So what are the important factors you should look after in the reservoir size? First one is the water tightness. मैं शुरू से बोलता आ रहा हूँ. Some of the river water will percolate in the underground. So when it's percolating in the underground, you should consider that there shouldn't be any fault, any inactive fault, which can get a chance to reactivation. So that thing you should avoid. And before the construction of the dam, this leakage shall be less and limited only the extent of over which the river flow occurs. Your leakage should be less and limited. You might have to put some impermeable layer there, but उतनी बड़ी जगह पे तो कर नहीं सकते ना. कुछ जगह पे जिसमें ओपनिंग है उसको तुम ग्राउटिंग देके फिल कर दिए. So when the dam is constructed, the impounding water accumulates a large quantity of reservoir which covers a large area, and due to the considerable height of the water in the reservoir, the significant hydrostatic pressure develops. So water table के बढ़ जाने से what happen? The hydrostatic pressure will be developed like rho g h, or hydrostatic pressure will be increased depending on the height of the water, and there is a chance that कोई small सा opening होगा तो उसको बड़ा कर देगा और उसमें water leakage ज़्यादा हो जाए. So you have to control, you have to mitigate that all these problems. Okay, so significantly the hydrostatic pressure will develop, which will make the leakage more effective on the sides and floor of the reservoir through the cracks. Another thing you should consider, that's the buried river channels you have to avoid. More buried river channels you will be seeing in the glaciated region, and they could provide a channel, they could provide a source of leakage when occurred at the reservoir site. So a buried river channel was noticed in the Tapovan Dam in Dhauli Ganga on the river of Palakananda. So there is a Tapovan Dam. Okay, I think it's in UP or UK, I don't remember. So okay, so a buried channel was noticed there, and they have taken several remedial measures to make your dam construction successful. Because कुछ प्रॉब्लम आएगा उसको तुमको मिटिगेट करना होगा, और बिफोर हैंड तुमको उसका प्लानिंग करना है. That's why you should require this geological knowledge and all. Second factor is the influence of the rock type. So इसके लिए क्या चाहिए हम लोगों को? To construct a successful reservoir, what we actually require in the rock type? We require that the porosity and permeability should be less, always preferred. अगर permeability ज़्यादा रहेगा तो वो interconnectivity दे देगा और पानी लीकेज होता रहेगा. If the permeability is more than 25% or 30%, then it will provide a suitable leakage path, you can say, suitable channel through which the water may seep in. So what we have to consider? We have to consider the water tightness of the reservoir, and it's basically involve the two terms, porosity and permeability, and this, according to the porosity and permeability, they will decide is this rock is good enough for reservoir construction. So porosity and permeability किसका काम होता है? Igneous rock and metamorphic rock. These are the two favorable rock type in the reservoir construction. So in case of igneous rock, if I consider the igneous rock, the intrusive igneous rock like the granite is good enough always for the dam construction, for the reservoir construction, provided they are not experienced, or they have not experienced any weathering, or they have not experienced the severe weathering or severe fracturing. Because it's by the virtue of their texture and the mode of formation, they are not porous or not permeable. They are neither porous nor permeable, and their occurrence at the reservoir site will not cause leakage of water unless, this is the factor, the structural geological factor, they don't have defects like joints, severe faulting or shear chutes. On the other hand, मैंने बोला था कि इसका पोरोसिटी परमेबिलिटी कम होता है. In case of basalt is a volcanic rock, बाहर आ जाता है, magma comes out as lava, and it solidifies and makes basalt. Okay, and basalt में क्या होता है, जो गैस एंट्रैप्ड होता है वो निकल जाता है. सो ये तुम लोगों ने पेट्रोलॉजी में पढ़ा होगा, उसमें वेसिकुलर स्ट्रक्चर्स ऐसे दिखते हैं. So due to these vesicular structures, what happened? The basalts are not desirable because they may provide a channel, they may provide some pathways of leaking of the water. So ये जो vesicular structure होता है, it could be used as a leakage path of water. So I'll be avoiding the basalt also. So in case of sedimentary rocks, now you can say sedimentary rocks are porous and permeable. In general, by virtue of the sedimentary rocks, I will not consider it as a reservoir. I will not consider sedimentary rock, or I will not. I don't want to see the sedimentary rock in the reservoir site. But few sedimentary rocks are more abundant, like sandstone and limestone, and one is the shale. Shale is not good for dam construction because it has a slippery base. Oh, स्लिप करके चला जाएगा वन लेयर आफ्टर. आई हैव डिस्कस दिस पार्ट. Dam, if you are making dam over a consolidated or shell structure, what will happen? There could be a chance your entire construction will be slip downwards. स्लीपरी एक बेस देता है, सो वी जनरली अवॉइड डैम बिकॉज थोड़ा सा पानी आ जाएगा और वो स्लीपरी बन जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा. बट सेल्स एज अनदर इम्पोर्टेंट फैक्टर बिकॉज इट्स मेड अप ऑफ क्ले. गांव के साइड में तुम देखोगे कुछ कुछ जगह पे ऐसे गड्ढा खोदते हैं और उसके साइड में वो बेंटोनाइट क्ले देते हैं, देखे हो कि नहीं? टू स्टोर वाटर. खेतों में देखोगे तुम, टू स्टोर वाटर दे डिग ए होल एंड दे पुट ए बेंटोनाइट क्ले लेयर in that structure to store some water, to keep some water. Okay, so क्या होगा, ये impermeable layer हो जाएगा and that impermeable layer will not allow water leaking through this. Okay, so that's why हम लोग clay use करते हैं. So यहाँ पे अभी क्या है, cell could be highly porous. There is a chance because it's a sedimentary rock, but it's not permeable. There is no sense of interconnectivity. अब वाटर फ्लो नहीं होगा, लीकेज नहीं होगा, देन इट कैन बी कंसिडर्ड एज ए गुड सेडिमेंटरी, इट कैन बी कंसिडर्ड एज ए गुड रॉक टाइप on which you can make a reservoir, provided you are not considering the shell in the dam side. अगर रिजर्वर के साइड में, सपोज यू आर मेकिंग ए डैम हियर एंड रिजर्वर के साइड में अगर सेल है तो यू शुड गो फॉर द कंस्ट्रक्शन, प्रोवाइडेड डैम की साइड में कोई सेल प्रेजेंट नहीं है. Okay.